And we're joined now by someone who's been actually very, NYU Polytech has been very influential in the development of Brooklyn, and we're joined by Sayar Lonial, who is from NYU Polytech. Thanks for joining us.
Of course, thank you for having me.
We've been talking about the development that's going on. I know something that NYU has been specifically involved in is the innovation economy and growing this innovation economy here in Brooklyn. Talk a little bit about what you guys have been doing and how you've been helping places like Brooklyn Navy Yard grow and expand in so rapidly, to be honest.
So I think it all starts back when you think about the merger between NYU and the Polytechnic Institute, which has its roots here since 1854. In 2014, NYU decided to bring engineering back into the fold, and instead of forming it on their own, they decided to merge with the Polytechnic Institute, creating the NYU Polytechnic School of Engineering. So with the merger, we created not only this engineering program, which is part of what is this innovation economy, which is pushing the technological growth that's happening right here in Brooklyn, but we're also joining something that's been here in Brooklyn and has roots right here in Brooklyn. You add to that mix the creation of the Magnet Space, which is a co-location of 4 NYU schools, the first time that's ever happened in the school's history, in one space, which focuses on media and gaming. And then you look at the redevelopment of 370 J Street, which is going to be the future home to the Center for Urban Science and Progress. You talk a little bit about what you were referring to earlier with the Bloomberg administration. Cornell has Roosevelt Island. We chose Brooklyn. Brooklyn is where we want to be, and I think it has to do with the fact of the merger with Poly, and then the creation of this new program that's going to study urban science and progress and other engineering type fields. So we're excited about the engineering focus and the innovation economy, but really doing it from the perspective of where we come from, which is an academic perspective.
Definitely, and I think that engineering is part of that buzzword that we hear a lot when we talk about the upcoming workforce being STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, those kind of fields. Where do you see kind of this path going forward? I think, clearly we're seeing some development right here, but we look at kind of like what you guys are doing at NYU. We look at some of the other programs that are now popping up around the city to really promote this in youth. Are there things that you guys are specifically doing? Are you looking at the next generation and trying to target them?
We are. We have a pretty extensive STEM education program. This year, in fact, we announced a program. Our dean went to the White House in December and made a promise to President Obama saying that we were going to educate 500 New York City public school teachers over the next 10 years, having a positive impact on 50,000 New York City public school kids. We made that commitment in December. We made the announcement in July, accompanied by Chancellor Farina and a Met representative from the National Science Foundation, that's saying that we are kicking that off right now. And so we've started that program right now. And so we believe that while we can do all this great work working within schools, like the Central Brooklyn STEM Initiative, where we send our graduate students to co-teach and create co-curriculum in Brownsville, East New York, Williamsburg, Fort Greene, and other central Brooklyn neighborhoods, we actually think that training and helping teachers come up with exciting and innovative curriculum is obviously going to reach more people and more students and create this sense of STEM coming from the ground up and young people having the understanding and the encouragement to go into science fields because they're qualified to make the decision, I can, rather than I can't go into it because I just didn't know, I don't know enough about the field.
In modern day Brooklyn and the transition that we're seeing, really living it, how important what we're doing and the training of these young people and the teachers, I should say, the teachers who are young and are going to be teaching future generations for the continued growth or the growth that you're seeing here in Brooklyn. You selected Brooklyn for a reason.
That's right.
What is it, the vision that you have right now for a Brooklyn of 30 years from now?
Well, we see the innovation economy and the tech growth through the Brooklyn Tech Triangle as something that's happening right now, and it sort of came grassroots and it sort of created itself, and then it was encouraged by the previous administration, and it's being continued to be encouraged by this administration. We want to make sure that that doesn't stop. Okay. And so by creating the next generation of scientific leaders, what we see is that that will just continue to perpetuate itself, and we won't have to look at outside of the city to bring in the talent. We'll have the talent pipeline right here, and they'll be able to come to NYU School of Engineering, they'll be able to go to City Tech, they'll be able to go to the number of schools that we have throughout Brooklyn and be able to take their skill sets there. Just real quickly, if I could, I mean, we do focus a lot on young children and teachers, and I think they're an incredibly important aspect, and obviously that's where our STEM programs are geared towards. But I do want to just spend a brief moment, if I could, talking about a different set of the workforce that we want to re-educate and bring back into the workforce, and that's veterans. You just had Assemblymember Joe Lenthal on, and through some funding that he was able to secure at the state level, we in fact are going to have our first graduating class from our Veteran Entrepreneurship Training Program on August 13th. That program is actually going to train veterans on how to become entrepreneurs, and we want to run that program back to back to back all year long, and we think that by not only bringing young people up through STEM education, but encouraging people who are coming back from wars and coming back from service to their country to get involved in this innovation economy, we're going to have just, a layer upon layer of people that are going to be pushing this. So, like as you said, we're not just a blip. We're going to have this going on forever.
How many of those veterans are going to graduate on
14. The
14.
first program we just announced this year had 14 veterans.
Okay.
That's great.
Good
Well,
luck.
thanks for joining us, Sayar Lonial. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll keep an eye out for the Veterans Program and follow that as it develops.